Hey everybody, welcome to my podcast today. This is the Pathfinder podcast and I'm Lori Gama. Here we hope to inspire you to go full-time with your passion, or if you already own a business, to break through to the next level. And I'm so excited to welcome my guest today, Robin McIntire. Welcome.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you for having me. This is a real pleasure.
Oh, thank you. It's my
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
My pleasure too. I'm going to read an introduction about you so our viewers know a little bit about you before I ask you some juicy questions.
Sounds good.
So Robin McIntire is a mindset and empowerment coach who works with ambitious women who feel stuck, off track, and want more from their lives. Many of them are struggling to overcome unwanted habits and all or nothing thinking, aka perfectionism. Robin helps them shift their perspective and gives them powerful tools so they can confidently go after the life they crave. You are up to some really powerful work with women, my friend. That must be super exciting.
I do feel like I'm doing what I was meant to do, and it's taken a while to get here, but I absolutely love it.
Oh, I could totally agree. Totally agree. So my first question is, how did you get started on your path with entrepreneurship? Like, have you been a lifelong entrepreneur?
You know, I guess I would say yes, because even in high school I had a house cleaning business, and a lot of my friends were at the pool, and I was working, and so yes, and I've had jobs, JOBs also. The one that got me started was really life-changing for me. So,
what was that?
I worked at a place called Gloria Stevens Figure Salon.
Cool.
So I'm dating myself. Leg warmers, tights, and leotards.
Cool.
All women. And, you know, when I started there, I was just not in a good place with my own health and my mindset. And I really said yes to the job. I was approached and said yes to the job and was very scared, but took it. And it just led me all the way to where I am, I believe, today.
Nice. That's so really great that you were that brave. Even though you were scared, you were brave enough to say yes. And it turned out to be okay, right?
Oh, I think anytime I've had really good things happen, it's because I've said yes when I really wasn't sure.
Right. That's a great piece of advice to our viewers watching. And so, who is your ideal client? Because I used to think that my ideal client was somebody called everyone.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I know.
I know. I've been stuck in that as well.
Right. But eventually I figured out, oh no, I've got to work with this specific person or family business type of ideal client. Mm-hmm. Who is your ideal client? Because then that tells us a lot about what your work is like as well.
Yeah. I will tell you right off the bat, this has been the hardest thing to niche down and really figure that out. And because I believe that I'm my own best client, you know, they say sometimes you are your own best client, because of the things that I've overcome and the people I've worked with. But it's been hard to zone in on it because when I look at my clients, they're all very different. But basically, the women that I end up working with, they're open and they're ready for change. They're willing to look in the cracks and look at the hard stuff and do the inner work. Mm-hmm. And that's not easy. That's scary to a lot of people. I've had my stuff out there for a while, so to me it's like, no, it's really great. You know, it's where the freedom is. You know, get to the bottom, and I just believe it gives us freedom to admit our stuff.
Right.
So. Yeah,
but you, like you said, you've been on that journey a long time. So,
yes.
So when your ideal clients come to you, they're at least ready for the change that they know that you're going to help them make.
Yeah,
right?
And some of them don't even really know exactly what they're looking for. They're just maybe feeling uninspired, or, you know, the habit thing is so true for so many people. So I love talking about habits because it can be our habits of thought. And of course, that's what creates our behaviors and our results, are what we think and what we believe. So that is really what work we're doing. But just the idea of it's just habits, whether it's the way we think or what we actually do or don't do. But because my background is in health and fitness, I definitely attract people that want to have healthier habits. Yes.
And that's okay, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I think maybe that's your unique value proposition is, but correct me if I'm wrong, because I want you to tell us what your unique value proposition is. But it seems to me like you help people rewrite their thoughts and break those patterns and invent new habits and new good healthy habits to replace old unhealthy ones. But you tell us what.
I mean, along those lines, it can be just even it's a paradigm shift, right? It's a new identity. So when I was teaching I love teaching movement and exercise to women and getting them in touch with their bodies, getting them to be a little kinder to their bodies. I didn't start out that way, and so I really get that. But what I love is when they get it, that the mindset is so much a piece of the well-being. So somebody can look great on the outside and then have all these not good enough things going on the inside. So even if somebody, a good example is a woman that can lose 40 pounds and she says, I've done this 4 times and I keep gaining it back. So if I can, love on her long enough, and if she can be patient enough to realize that it's her identity and how she sees herself, whether she keeps that weight off or not, that's so key. But all the lessons that I've taught women about that apply to everything in life. So when we're successful in business, part of that is because we see ourselves as successful in business, right?
Right.
So it's same thing with the health. It's I just really want you to see see yourself as that person that can have whatever it is you want. So
I love that.
So it really does come down to so many simple concepts, but it isn't easy to do it, right?
Right. And it might be the first time that they're being introduced to this, probably.
Yeah.
I know that when I was first introduced to setting goals, I was like along the lines of around in my early 30s, and nobody had ever talked to me about that before. And once I learned about setting goals, boy, my life just unpacked onto a new path. And it was just way better because I would write down my goals, I would envision what they were all about, and it just helped me achieve my goals way faster. So I bet you're big about goal setting too.
I am, and it's in a really different way because I always, we all know SMART goals, right?
Yeah.
If you're an entrepreneur, you probably know SMART goals. And I really had to accept that I kind of have a rub with SMART goals. I had set so many goals and not reached them. So I didn't even set them correctly. And I just thought I could do all these things. So we always think we have more time and we can do more things in the time that we do. Then I learned about grace. And that is one thing I love to teach women, because especially the AKA perfection that we talked about earlier, that gets in the way of so many things, because it creates us, we end up saying all or nothing. So if we only do a little good, but we don't get all the way to the goal, we don't take any credit and we don't ever build momentum.
I know, we're so hard on ourselves.
Yeah, especially women. And
Right.
so, and the other thing about goals that has been so cool going through this coaching program that I had to go through to get certified is, and I kind of knew this, but not as black and white as it is for me now, and that is every goal is about how we think we're going to feel when we reach it. So, and that's my sweet spot is, let's talk about feelings, right? So I love that when I can get women to just really connect with how they feel and don't make themselves wrong. So whatever the goal is, it's about digging and saying, well, how are you going to feel and what is that going to get you? And have you heard of the 7 levels of why?
No, but tell us.
Okay, so, and this is not mine. I wish I could quote who it is. I can't. But there's a simple formula, and it's like, okay, so Lori, why do you want to lose the 10 pounds? Well, I want to get in my bathing suit. Okay, why is that important? And then you keep digging, because, and this is in coaching too, some of the things people come with initially and what they're letting me in on isn't the real underneath thing. So getting to the bottom of people's why is you keep digging almost until you get the lump in your throat, right? So that's when you know you've gotten. I used to hear your why should make you cry.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all about feelings, right? So instead of women beating themselves up that they're not motivated enough or they're not determined enough, it's like maybe their why isn't big enough yet. So in all the goals, I believe that's true, part of it, but the other part I really want to work on with women is their self-identity.
Nice. Does it usually take 7 questions of asking why to get to the root of it, or does it take more, or is there an average?
It's so funny you say that, because the first time I did that exercise was in a friend of ours workshop, Chatla, Springfield, and I remember being so frustrated. I'm like, I don't know. So I warn people before we do that exercise, like, look, it might be frustrating. You might think you don't know. But that's another thing we work on, is when we say we don't know, we really do. We maybe not have gotten in touch with it, but a whole nother part of that is working on our intuition, right, and checking in. And
Right.
So the I don't know part really isn't true, but to get ourselves to believe it's not true and dig and find it, that's a whole nother
Right.
thing.
Right. So a magical thing happened to you in one of Chalice's workshops. Same with me. She's just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about a time when you faced a particularly difficult time with your business and how you overcame it. A lot of people consider themselves really, awesome that they made it through the Great Recession, for example. But was there any other particularly hard time?
The thing that comes to mind is in 2020. I'll back up a little bit. I was personal training out of my home when I don't even like to say the C word, the COVID word. But when that hit, I was training out of my home. Mm-hmm. And for at least probably 2 years, I'm going, I want to get to coaching the mindset piece. I loved my clients. I loved what I was doing. But the thing that frustrated me on behalf of a lot of my clients is they still weren't, no matter what they did on the outside, they weren't getting all the stuff without doing the inner work. So I kept thinking, I love this, and I really want to do something bigger. So I went ahead and hired a gal to help me with my branding. And I know what it was. I was creating my online course. It's called Mind Body Do-Overs. So it was still very much about women that wanted to lose weight, but I didn't market it as a weight loss tool per se. It was like, this is about a new slate and seeing yourself different, seeing food different. Who do you want to be as an eater? And that's still sitting there, and I'm going to use that again. I mean, I've launched it 3 times, but I really want to get clear right now that yes, I still do those things, but this is what I'm really doing. So it's a tool that I can still bring in with clients, but I'm just not marketing it right now. And when I was creating that course, I was just so overwhelmed, as you know, from trying to do things online, right? Mm-hmm. I had bought Amy Porterfield's course on how to create a course, and I finally got in a place where I was, okay, I'm time blocking, I'm organized, I'm going to make myself do this. And I just, between all the self-doubt and all the things that happen when we're trying to create something, I was just struggling, and I was spending a ton of money on this platform and prematurely buying things for my course that I didn't need yet and didn't know how to use. And so I was spinning circles, and I was spending a lot of money, and I was feeling so guilty that I reached out to a coach who I didn't have the money to hire her, and I did. It was still the best thing I ever did. I didn't get some of the business stuff done that I hired her, what I thought I hired her for. But the life lessons I got from coaching with her for that year changed everything.
Wow, that's incredible. And for our viewers, that's a really good point to discuss, because sometimes we have to go to that next level, we have to invest in coaching or consulting with somebody who's already been there, done that, would you say?
Oh,
and
yes.
It saves a lot of time.
And I mean, I understand why having skin in the game matters, because I didn't miss a coaching call. I didn't miss a group coaching call. If there was something we were supposed to do, I did it. And that's because I spent a lot of money with this coach. Yeah. So, but you know what, Lori, my biggest lesson from her, I think before I even paid her, we were in a chat, and I was telling her how guilty I felt. And I said, my husband is so supportive. I do the bills. He doesn't even know all the money I spend on my business, I said, but I just feel bad because I've been spending all this money, and maybe I'm being a little dreamy or something, and I've got to figure this out. So I was at that place. Mm-hmm. It's do or die. I'm either going to stop and go to work for a restaurant or do something different, or I'm going to figure this out. And she said to me, Robin, that guilt needs to be healed. And Lori, it was like in that very moment, it makes me feel emotional thinking about it, because in that moment, I decided to let it go. I felt like she gave me permission to let that go. And then she said, everything you've done up to this point has been stepping stones. And I decided in that moment, I'm taking this to the bank. Wish I could have taken it right to the bank, but
yeah.
But the guilt, we can. And she said, you cannot create from guilt. You can't create from that place. She said, well, you could, but it's like putting a round peg in a square hole.
Right.
And she had read my intake form, which said, I feel like I'm on an island all by myself. I feel like I'm lonely, and I'm sitting too much. All the things I told her, she said, you're going against your own alignment. These things aren't in alignment for you. And she asked me to put the course on hold, and I was like, did she hear me? Didn't she hear me? I have to get this done and finally on a roll. But I did put it on hold. And she said, I don't care if it's for 2 weeks, just let's get out of that energy, because you're trying to hustle, you're trying to push. And that's when I learned about feminine and masculine energy as well. And the difference in when I work from masculine energy, which I don't do anymore, versus feminine and more allowing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just took her word, put it on hold, and I went back to it 6 months later. 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt fun then.
Good.
It was still challenging, but I just felt different in the work.
Right. Sometimes you do have to just walk away from something that you're trying to figure out, and because you're just going to get a fresh perspective about it.
That's what it is. Yeah. See yourself different, and 6 months later I was different somehow, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and it's really helpful for business owners to consider mentors and coaches and consultants, because it's really hard to see yourself and be objective about yourself,
So
and
true.
things that you should be doing but you're not doing, things that they can tell you, well, have you thought about spending more time on this instead of that?
Yeah, it's so true, Lori. It's the blind spots that we have.
Right.
Because I've had friends go, so Robin, what exactly is coaching, right? And I'm saying, it's really about being supported when you're doing something you want to do and you're not sure what you're doing, or you want support, or there's so much to it. Somebody asking you the right questions, right, that we don't think to ask ourselves.
Right.
So, and that's what this coach was for me, and I have not gone without having a coach since. I invest in coaching all the time for myself.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
No wonder you're always you're growing and growing.
Yeah. I can't. What's the alternative, right?
Right.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, definitely. What does Chalice always says this, and she's quoting Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's. When you're green, you're growing. When you're ripe, you rot.
Rot.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. That was
thank you.
That was very inspiring. What advice do you have for entrepreneurs who are struggling to find their place? Like, some people watching might be thinking, well, I want to leave my 9-to-5 job, but I don't know exactly what I would do if I did. And not that we're saying you should leave your 9-to-5 job, right?
Don't do that.
Because personally speaking, my business as it is now, it was also a side hustle when it first began. The term side hustle didn't exist yet because it was 1995. But eventually I went full-time with my business, and it was a one-woman shop for 5 years, and I knew that if I wanted to grow, I needed to hire talented people to do the things that I was spreading myself thin doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did, and then we're a 14-person company.
That's incredible, Lori.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
With most of our people, thank you. Most of our people here in Northern Colorado and some in Greeley, and I love that I get to do what I love doing, and I hope that viewers who are watching, who are thinking of doing that as well, get some inspiration from us today. But if you're not clear on what you want to do you have any advice about that, like how a person can become clear?
There are coaches for clarity, and I have helped people do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends on how serious they are, and if they're going from corporate to entrepreneurship, there's a whole jump there, right?
Yeah.
Completely different language. I would say for sure, journaling is always helpful. When we sit down, and I've had people say, well, what do you mean by journaling? And just the free writing sometimes. Allow yourself time to sit down with blank paper and just write. And it doesn't have, forget the grammar, forget the spelling, just, and maybe definitely asking yourself questions. What do I love? What have I shut down that maybe I still love and I just haven't paid attention to in a really long time?
Right.
So self-exploration, basically.
Definitely. I call it like remembering yourself.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, because pieces of yourself that you've, like you said, hidden away, or you put it on hold because you chose to do this other thing. And like Tara and I talked about in our last podcast about, this is the season of your life that you're in right now, and, and the new season will come along that it'll be a different time of your life to explore that thing. But I think that by journaling, like you said, that I know that helps me as well. Also, I think people who, if you're thinking of trying to find that passion, if you think about, well, what would I do if I weren't paid any money and I would love doing it?
Yeah.
If money were no object, right? So that's another way that people can find out what they're passionate about and
That's so
just
true.
go do it, and at least start doing it.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
And just asking questions they haven't made time for forever.
Right.
Especially mothers that have, our roles change so much over time. We go to school or we don't, whatever. We get our job, we don't. Then, do we stop to have a family? We have the babies, those kinds of things. And our roles keep changing. So yeah, I think a lot of women especially get lost in that. And if they've been full-time mom for a long time, that's even more so, that they've been serving everybody but themselves,
Right.
I should say a high percentage probably.
Right.
And really don't even know what they want.
Yeah. So reflection is good, or going to coffee with a friend and talking about it too. There's so many ways you could get clear about it, but just taking the time to just ask the question in the first place and then allow yourself to answer it, let the answers come up.
Yes. And that's one of the biggest things too, Lori, that I work with women on is white space. If we stay so busy that there's no time to breathe or choose our food consciously, or we just, especially if life is exciting, it's a little easier to do that. But when life is stressful and we're doing it just on autopilot, that's the other thing that I've helped a lot of women with, and that's where I say habit of autopilot. There is no time, right? I can't imagine tackling whether it's weight loss or a relationship issue or not. I'm too stressed, I'm too tired, there's no time. The white space, and that is this coach, that's what I learned from her, is when you slow down, it's like bending time. And it's magical. I can't explain it other than when I'm relaxed instead of panicked, there's so much more time than I ever think.
So true. And also when you're doing something that you really love doing, like for example, lately I've been, learning about editing videos, and it's a creative process. And I'm using software tools that are helping me and learning those things. But the time just flies by, and before I know it, like 4 hours has passed and it feels like 10 minutes. And that's when you know you're living your life authentically.
Yeah,
So,
you're in flow.
Yeah.
I can do that when I'm writing an email to my ladies, to my list. If I have my Pandora Zen music on my computer, I have my little, essential oils going, or my Scentsy wax thing. I just get in this place where oh my gosh, I could just do this forever. Oh, and I want to say this, and I want to say
Right.
So that is a great feeling.
Yes.
That's why your question of what would you do if you didn't have to get paid for it, that's a really good way to find it out quickly, because you're lost in that time.
And it's so much easier these days than way back in 1995 to start a business because of the tools of technology that exist now. There's just, it's overwhelming how many tools there are, but if you're clear on what you want to do, then just start, teaching yourself and researching and finding the answers. Somebody out there has got the answer for you. Just go to YouTube, because people have made a video about it. People go to YouTube to either be entertained or educated, and you can be educated so much there. So there's so many tools.
There's great tutorials there.
Yeah,
for sure.
What strategies have you found most effective in growing your business? Like for me, I love meeting one-on-one with people, and also attending networking events and just saying hi to old friends and seeing what's what, and building those relationships, but having fun doing it. What would you say?
You and I talked about this over coffee not very long ago. We both said, gosh, after COVID, we kind of got comfortable working from home and doing all that. And I would definitely say visibility. The more I say yes to coffees, and I don't do a lot of networking outside. I do some in some Facebook groups, and but even when I was personal training, I was a little spoiled with referrals. And I don't know, this thing with Facebook, and I think we've talked about that too, I so appreciate it, and also it can just take so much time. And then again, how much is authentic? I can know what I put out, I feel authentic, but what's what, and what relationships are really real, and that. So I've really gotten out more as well. And those are my best days. It just feels really good, like you said, to connect on a deeper level with people.
Right. I think so many people are craving that community of that being in one space with other people, and because of the pandemic, I think historians will look back on this time of, wow, afterwards, when people felt safe again, they connected big time. There's so many community events that you can attend, and spaces like Link Library and Innovation Center, where we're recording from today.
So nice.
It's just amazing here, the things that you can get together and do here as well. So, I mean, we're just scratching the surface by just mentioning that.
Mm-hmm. This is a really great setup, by the way, Lori.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's awesome here.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yes. And if you could go back in time to your business, like in the first year you were in the business you own now, that you're flowing with now, what would you tell yourself?
There's a couple things. Don't chase everything that says, hey, this will help you with your business. I've been guilty of, putting in my name to a lot of email lists and thinking I'm going to miss something because it's so great, right? And I
FOMO.
Yes, absolutely.
Fear of missing out.
Absolutely FOMO, yes. And it's, I have loved what I've learned online. I feel like I'm pretty techie, and I did start way long time ago too.
You did.
And so I really feel like I'm keeping up that way. But I buy programs, and they sit there because they are not the priority over clients and creating emails and doing other things we need to do. So my training that I'm in right now is, be serious when you say yes to something. Know what it is, and don't do the wild hair, oh no, there's only 2 more spots thing.
Right.
Yeah. So I would say that, and don't compare yourself to other people. I think that can be really, really hard when you're, you and I have followed a lot of the same gurus that, they're just on such a different scale because of when they started and what they started with, and to trust, here's the biggest, to trust who I am is enough.
I love that.
That's the biggest thing, and going back to ideal clients, the people that are supposed to find us, they'll find us
Right.
if they're supposed to, and if we're supposed to work with them.
Yeah, I always say you're going to attract your tribe with your vibe.
Yeah.
And we want to attract the people that we want to work with, and they want to work with us. And that's why it's so important to get very clear on who your ideal client or clients are. Because if you don't, you're going to attract people that maybe aren't so good for you, and you're going to learn some hard lessons. So,
Those are good too, but
yeah.
we'd rather skip those when we can.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've really, really enjoyed our conversation today. I really want to have you back again. Will you come back again?
Oh, thank you, Lori. I'd love to come back again.
Because you have
Absolutely.
such great advice to share.
Well,
Thank you.
I appreciate you having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have coffee too.
Oh, of course,
Okay,
yes.
See you soon.
Yep, definitely.
Okay, thanks.
Well, thank you for watching today. This has been a really amazing episode with Robin, and hopefully you've gained some inspiration from what we've talked about to either go full-time with your passion, or if you already own a business, to break through to the next level. I'm Lori Gama, and this is the Pathfinder Podcast. Please subscribe and like, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.